Hello, I'm Richard Ridge for Broadway World. The latest from Roundabout Theatre Company is their stunning production of Tony Kushner and Janine Tesori's groundbreaking musical, Caroline or Change. And I'm here at Roundabout's Studio 54 to catch up with the show's electrifying star, Sharon D. Clarke.
And I am mean, and I am tough, but $30 ain't enough.
Sharon, it is very exciting to be standing out with you outside your theater here.
Right, Studio 54, I mean, it's amazing.
Well, I said it to you on opening night. I'm going to say it to you again. Welcome to Broadway. How does it feel?
It feels phenomenal. It's an absolute joy, a blessing that I didn't even know was going to come into my life. And yet here I am in this glorious city doing this show, which I think is so timely and so important and so prescient right now after the summer and a half that we've had. So I'm really glad to be bringing it home. And you know, last week I was in my dressing room on a Saturday night and I put on some disco tunes and I had Le Freak going on and I'm sat there going, come on down to the 54, and I'm like, hang on, I'm here.
You?
I'm here. It was just like such an amazing epiphany. It's brilliant. I'm loving life, loving life.
What was that day like for you? Because I spoke to you opening night after the curtain had come down. I mean, it was an electrifying evening. Was the day a calm day for you, opening day? What was that day like for you?
Well, you kind of want to treat it like any other day. You kind of just want to do your show and not get too bogged down in the fact that the press is here and tonight's the night and it could all rise or fall on its ass tonight. So you just try and remind yourself, you get out there and you do your show and you do it to the best of your ability and try and tell the story and just trust that you are doing a great story with a wonderful cast and the time is now to tell it and go off and do it and then just ride the crest of that wave.
I love that because a lot of people are like, they wake up, they're like, oh, I have family in town, or I'm thinking of like opening night gifts to give everybody or cards, so it fills their day of like not worrying about anything else.
I had to apologize to my cast. They did not get a card, but I'm writing them as we speak.
Opening week or the week after.
Opening week or whenever, do you know,
Yeah.
I mean, some point throughout the run when I get round to it. But yeah, it was a busy day and everybody was up and really gagging for it. You know, we'd done nearly a month of previews by then, so we were really ready, you know, and just get us in front of an audience and let's do this and let's claim the show and own it and run with it.
Because for some of our audience who may not know, right before the pandemic, the day that Broadway shut down, you were getting ready to do your dress rehearsal, right?
Yeah, so we didn't even get a chance to show it to anyone, you know, and that was kind of hard to not even really get going, but I don't know how much harder it would have been to actually have started the show and to then have it kind of eclipsed in that way. And also for us, we were really lucky that Roundabout, when Broadway closed down, had assured us that they wanted the show to come back and that they would be doing everything within their power to make sure that we could come back and tell this story. So during the pandemic, that was something to hold on to look forward to, knowing that I'd have a theatre job to come back to, and that, you know, that what has been brilliant is that Broadway closed down as a community, and has opened up again as an industry, as a community, and to be a part of that, it's such a wonderful thing for us all to be back on stage, telling our stories, holding up mirrors, providing entertainment, whatever it is that we do, but actually getting people back into a theatre and being back on stage and having that back in our lives is such a wonderful, wonderful thing that, you know, none of us are taking for granted, you know, in a period where the industry was down and no one was working. For us to be back it's overwhelming joy. It's brilliant.
Because none of the marquees were lit. They're all lit again. There's people lined up to come into these shows. There's lines at the box office. Like I was waiting for you. They were like, can we go in and buy tickets? I'm like, yes, go right in and buy tickets. It must be so exciting. Because did you go home, like right after the shutdown? Did you go home?
Well, I wasn't planning to. When it first happened, people were saying that they thought it might be 3 to 4 weeks, and I was thinking, okay, I can do 3-4 weeks in New York. That's absolutely fine. My other half had come over, so Susie was here. She'd come over on the Tuesday. We didn't do our dress run on the Thursday. She was due to fly back on the Tuesday. On the Sunday, the travel ban to the UK came in, which was a big sign for us. So we looked up Susie's flight, and it had disappeared. Gone from the ether, not even cancelled, but just gone. So we took that as a big warning sign, and we got booked on the Monday flight, and we were out of there. And just as well, because a year and a half, nearly 2 years later, here we are.
So what was it like coming back here, like going into the theater for Tech Week and like unlocking your dressing room door for the first time? What was that like?
Well, it was really wonderful because I'd put it up there in the lap of the gods when we closed, and I hadn't removed anything. So my dressing room was exactly the way I left it. I think all of us just upped and left going, we're going to be back. So it felt like home. Do you know what I mean? You could just slip into the chair, get the makeup on, and do it, and not feel like, okay, I've got to set myself up in this place. And it was coming home. It was coming home. We all were able to come back home and live our lives and bring those lives to the wider community.
Yeah. I know when you went back into rehearsal again, it was like starting fresh all over again because there was 18 months that had happened. It was a whole new perspective of looking at the show again, right? And reuniting as a company.
Yeah. And it's kind of that thing where we can slip into old shoes because we were just about to do the show, so we were ready, but also informed with the summer and a half that we've had, you know, George Floyd's murder and Black Lives Matter and that movement, and, you know, thinking how that corresponds with the show, with the burgeoning of the civil rights movement then and the assassination of JFK. It just felt right. I think as hard as it was to have that year and a half out, I think it has done us good in that way because it has enabled us to all come back with a fresh perspective of the story that we're telling and why we tell it and why it's important to tell these stories. So, you know, I think it leaves us in good stead. It doesn't feel like it's been time wasted. It's been time that we've all had to grow as people, as human beings, to think about change and what change means and how much we do in action in change as opposed to just talking about change, to really moving it on. And I think this time has helped us to cement that so that we can come together as a force and present this show.
What was it like that first performance back with a live audience?
What can I say? I mean, to sit out and see a full theatre. I mean, like, we've been trying to do theatre in England, and it's all been socially distanced, and, you know, no one is working to capacity, so therefore anyone who puts on a show is putting it on at a loss because you can't make money because you don't have your audience. So to sit out and see, or to stand on stage and see a full theatre, it's just, you don't like that. I'm not going to cry just yet. No. But it's overwhelming. You know what I mean? It means so much for all of us to be back doing what we love doing. And, you know, a point in case is, you know, here in New York, you had Save Our Stages, you had people behind you wanting theatre to come back and doing everything that they could to make sure that happened. In Britain, that wasn't really the case. And, you know, as an industry, we were told to retrain. So when your government is telling you that they don't have the faith in you as an industry to do what you do best, when, you know, what you do brings in more than fishing, more than sport, more than, you know, is not only brings something to the coffers of the nation, but to the soul of the nation. To have that not appreciated, it's hard. So to come back on stage here where you know that it's been championed is like, yeah, you've championed us and we are going to bring you the best that we can.
Yeah. What I love about this production is when I've seen it twice already, I love the young audience. There's a lot of young audiences coming for the first time. That must make you feel so great, like introducing them to this world of live theater.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, it's always about getting young people in there and letting them see that theatre is accessible and it's for them and it can tell their stories and hold up mirrors and make them think about things that they've never thought about before and put them in someone else's shoes and show them a life different, fantastical or drudgery or whatever. But, you know, the way that theatre can open up your world because it's immediate and it's happening in front of you. You know, we were in Chichester and there was a gentleman, and I can't remember his name and I can't really remember his job because I'm getting older now and things are not staying in my head. But he worked in some sort of law and he changed whatever it was from that to working on social justice because he'd seen the show and it affected him in that way. So to get young people in and to have the young Emmys of this world just having things sparked for them or not even sparked, but things going, yeah, that's how I feel and I can see someone else is representing me in that way. It's a wonderful thing, and I love theatre for that, so that as many young people as we can get in from as many cultures and creeds and denominations, and all the better.
You know, it was groundbreaking then, this musical, but the first time I went back to see it here, I was like, oh my God, Janine and Tony could have written this like last month.
It feels so prophetic. so prophetic. I mean, when we opened in Chichester, so that was 2017, we opened the week of the Charlottesville riots. So, you know, for us as a country that doesn't have those Confederate statues and have that in our history, that was all brought very much to the forefront with Charlottesville. And, you know, every time that we've done the show, I've felt that it's felt really important. You know, in 2019, when we were at the Playhouse in London, we were having the rallies at Trafalgar Square with Tommy Robinson and the English Defence League. And, you know, I'm walking into work doing this show and I'm feeling guys looking at me with nothing but hatred in their eyes. And you're just kind of thinking, here we are again, having to hold up the mirror and tell this story. And we need to move on from this. We need to move on from this. And so the more that we can see that history is being repeated and we've got to stop the repetition and we've got to move forward. You know, we've got to become one, you know.
But isn't it great that art, like something like Caroline or Change, is not only entertaining, but it makes people think to make a change?
Yeah, it's thought-provoking, and that's the beauty of theatre. You know, theatre can be escapism, and it can be jazz hands and frivolous, but it also can be life-changing. You know, people can see something and go, wow, I never thought about something in that way before. And actually, there is something that I can do. And this has inspired me to go out and do it. And that's the beauty of theatre for me.
Working with this cast, you've got the most amazing cast in this show. What is that like sharing the stage with all of them?
It's an honor and a privilege and a blessing. You know, this company have welcomed me with open arms and have been very generous with their time and their friendship and their talent. And it's an absolutely beautiful place to be.
How, I love to use the word magical, because that's what I think theater is. How magical has it been? You making your Broadway debut. I mean, you're a big star over in the West End. I've seen you do stuff over there. You're a multi-Olivier Award winner, but there's nothing like coming here and making a stamp for yourself here, right, for New York theater?
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm just going to get all giggly. It's amazing, you know, to have a first now. Do you know what I mean? You never stop learning, you never stop growing, you can never stop having new experiences, and this is such a wonderful experience for me to be in this glorious city that I love so on Broadway. I mean, it's beggars belief. It's mind blowing. It's magical, baby.
See, I love that word. I think there's nothing like that. That's what the theater is for everybody. How early do you like to get to the theater when you prep?
Let me see. If it's an 8 o'clock show, I've got a 7:15 fight call with the young Noahs so we can beat each other up. So I'll sort of like get in at 5:30 if it's a 7 o'clock show, and then 6:30 if it's an 8 o'clock show.
Because I love to talk to different actors. Some would like to get there like right before half hour, like get their wig on and just go on. And some people like to get there early and prep and do their stuff.
I want to take my time. I don't want to be rushing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'll get all my prep done and my makeup and my hair set, and then I'll go and fight a child, and then I'll come back and finish up and do my warm up, and then I'm ready to go on.
Of course, I love it because you have different children in the show for different performances. That must be so wonderful for you to see it through their different eyes each time you play Caroline. Right?
And the different ways that they play it, which means that I play things differently. If you can't play the same thing to someone when you're getting a different reaction or a different feed from someone. So it keeps it fresh for me in that way as well. You know, having those beautiful Noahs and sometimes a different Jackie and Joe. But yeah, it's wonderful. And the kids are great. You know, the kids are wonderful. And I think just the amount that they have to learn and the subject matter that they're dealing with for such young people, and to just take that all on board and run with it and really explore it and get their teeth into it, it's wonderful.
Because I spoke to them all on opening night. These are really smart kids. I mean, they're really good at what they do too, but they're really smart.
Yeah, intelligent, really intelligent. I mean, the rehearsal, some of the questions that they come up with, is just like, wow, I don't know if I'd have thought about that when I was 11, you know, but maybe that's a sign of the times that we live in, that they're having to think about things differently because, you know, the things that they've seen over the last year and a half, and it's making them question, and they are able to be a part of that answer in the show that they're doing now.
Was there a defining moment for you when you were growing up that you said, I want to be a performer and try to make a living at this?
I was 6. I went to Ivy Travers Dance School, lovely local Jewish lady in Stamford Hill. And I did my first show at Bow Civic Centre, and I was hooked. I knew after that first show that this was how I wanted to earn my living. This was how I wanted to put a roof over my head and for put food on my table, this was the industry I wanted to be in, and I'm very lucky that I've been able to do that and make a career out of it and meet wonderful people, some of who are now our family. We may not have the same blood, but they are my family, and I've met them through this industry. And so it's given me a lot. It's given me my wife. It's given me so many wonderful, glorious things. Yeah, this industry is wonderful, and I'm glad it chose me and I chose it.
You know, the New York Theater is one of the safest places to be right now. Would you just talk about the protocols are wonderful of what they're doing? It's the safest place to be is to be in a theater.
I feel so safe. I mean, the fact that over here in New York, you can't enter a bar or a restaurant or a theater without showing your vaccination card just means that people can come and feel safe. You know, you can sit down in an audience and you don't have to worry, you don't have to wonder. We don't have the same thing in Britain. We don't have a mask mandate. We don't have the double vaccination proof to get into a theatre, which means that we have some people who will not go to the theatre because they don't feel safe. And I think that's insane. You know, when you come to Broadway and you can see full houses, not socially distanced houses, full houses, because people feel safe because they know that they're sat in an audience where they are safe. It makes all the difference, and I just wish it's something that we would take on board. And I know that there's people in Britain who would strongly disagree with me, but I just feel if we're going to try and get the industry back on its feet, people have to feel safe coming into a theatre. You know, you're sitting with strangers in an enclosed space, you know, an hour and a half, sometimes 3 hours. You've got to feel that when you get out, you're not going, am I riddled with COVID? Yeah. You know, and it's wonderful taking these precautions and making sure that you're making theatre a safe place for people to attend, so that your houses can be packed and that you can bring the shows to people and people can keep coming back and bringing their young ones. And you know, it's important that we make it safe. These are the times that we live in, and we have to adapt. And if it means that, you know, to see a show you get vaccinated and you show your card and you sit in your mask, then you sit in your mask. But then the industry and the creativity is not taken away from you. And we can still carry on to explore it, and we can still carry on and be.
Yeah. Because I thought sitting here, it was so great. I hope the rest of the world learns from Broadway and New York Theater how safe it is. I met so many wonderful people here at your theater, and they were so happy just to be back in a theater again and sitting next to someone and saying, oh my gosh, what got you to this show?
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. It felt so great to be here.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful that we're able to do that.
What are you loving the most about being in New York? Like I said, all the marquees are lit. I mean, the streets are going by. There's trucks everywhere. Everything. Yeah.
I'm loving everything. I'm loving the dulcet tones of New York, where I just beep, 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 beep. There we go. Do you know what I mean? I'm just loving all of it. All of it. I can't, there's not one thing where I'm like, oh, this is what I love about New York. It's the whole experience. It's the whole package. And I am soaking up as much as I can.
If you could sum up the best part of the experience of doing this show here in New York, what is it for you, Sharon?
Returning to what I love doing. Returning to what I love doing and being able to share that with an audience and with my fellow cast members and creatives. Just being able to do what we love doing, you know, and doing it safely. That's the joy, you know, that I don't have to worry. You know, we get tested every other day so that we can come into work and know that we can do what we love doing and keep together as a company, and that we know that the audience is safe, everyone's safe, we can do what we love. That's the joy.
Yeah. Well, anybody who wants to come and see a fabulous show, you've got to see Sharon D. Clarke and company.
And the fabulous cast.
And her fabulous cast. There we go. See, we got motorbikes riding down in Caroline or Change here at the Roundabout Theater. Thank you for doing this before our show tonight.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Just come on down to the 54, people.
Get over here, you. Thank you so much.